You know that feeling when you walk into a room and everyone goes quiet? Yeah, that happened to me. Except it wasn't just any room. It was my sister's wedding reception. A wedding I wasn't even invited to. But here's the thing. By the end of that night, I owned that entire celebration. Literally, every single thing. Let me back up. My name's Maya Chen, and 6 months ago, I was the family disappointment. You know the type. 28, no husband, working some weird tech job nobody understood. My younger sister, Vanessa, she was the golden child. Perfect hair, perfect boyfriend, perfect everything. We'd always been close, or so I thought. I remember the exact moment things started shifting. We were at Mom's house for Sunday dinner, this tradition we'd had since forever. I was telling everyone about my new startup, trying to explain blockchain technology and digital asset management. So basically, I said, pushing my rice around, we help luxury brands verify authenticity and manage... That's nice, sweetie. Mom cut me off, not even looking up from her phone. Vanessa, show everyone the ring Marcus got you. My fork stopped mid-air. Vanessa's face lit up like Times Square. She thrust her hand across the table, and there it was, this massive diamond that probably cost more than my car. Oh my God, Nessa! My Aunt Linda practically shrieked. Marcus has such good taste. Unlike some people's career choices, my cousin Tara muttered just loud enough for me to hear. I felt my chest tighten, but I smiled anyway. Congrats, V, that's amazing. Vanessa reached over and squeezed my hand. Thanks, Maya. You know you'll be my maid of honor, right? For a second, everything felt normal again. Like we were still those little girls who'd shared secrets under blankets at night. I should have known better. Over the next few months, something changed. At first, it was subtle. Vanessa stopped answering my texts as quickly. Then she stopped calling altogether. When I'd ask about wedding plans, she'd get vague. Oh, we're keeping it small. We haven't decided on a date yet. It's all so stressful, Maya. I'll fill you in later. Later never came. Meanwhile, my startup was actually taking off. We'd landed 2 major clients, a luxury watch brand and a high-end jewelry company. We were managing their inventory authentication and helping them set up exclusive private events. The money was starting to roll in. Real money. But did my family care? Nope. At another family dinner, I tried again. So we just signed with Cartier's North American division. It's huge for us. That's wonderful, Dad said absently. Vanessa, have you and Marcus decided on the venue yet? Vanessa shifted in her seat. We're looking at a few places. What about the Grand Belmont? Mom suggested. That's where the Richardsons had their daughter's wedding. Maybe, Vanessa said quietly. She wouldn't look at me. That's when I knew. Something was definitely up. I found out about the wedding the way you find out about most betrayals these days. Instagram. I was scrolling through my feed one Thursday afternoon when I saw it. A post from my cousin Tara. She was at a bridal boutique holding up champagne, caption reading, "Can't wait for the big day." Hashtag bridesmaids duties, hashtag Vanessa and Marcus. My heart literally stopped. I clicked through to Vanessa's profile. There it was, an aesthetic wedding countdown post. 30 days until I marry my best friend. 30 days. My hands were shaking so bad, I almost dropped my phone. I called Vanessa immediately. It rang and went to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. I texted, "Saw your post. We need to talk now." 3 hours later, she finally responded. "Can't talk. Wedding stuff. Crazy busy." I stared at those words until they blurred. Wedding stuff. She was planning an entire wedding, and I wasn't even on the guest list. I drove to her apartment that night. Marcus answered the door, looking uncomfortable as hell. "Maya, hey, Vanessa's in the shower. I'll wait." He stepped aside and I walked in. Their place was covered in wedding magazines, fabric swatches, seating charts, a whole life I wasn't part of. When Vanessa came out, her face went white. "Maya, what are you doing here?" "What am I doing here? What are you doing, Vanessa? You're getting married in a month and you didn't tell me." She crossed her arms defensive. "I was going to." "When? The day of? Or were you just gonna post the pictures after and hope I didn't notice?" "It's complicated, okay?" "Complicated how? I'm your sister. I thought I was going to be your maid of honor." Marcus cleared his throat. I'll give you two some privacy." As soon as he left, Vanessa's whole demeanor changed. The guilt vanished, replaced with something harder. "You want to know the truth, Maya? Fine. Mom said you couldn't come." I felt like I'd been slapped. "What?" "She said you'd bring down the vibe, that you'd show up in some weird startup t-shirt and talk about cryptocurrency all night, that you'd embarrass us in front of Marcus's family." Each word was a knife. "And you agreed with her?" Vanessa looked away. "His parents are traditional, Maya. They're old money. They think you're kind of a mess." "A mess?" "You know what I mean. No husband, no real job, always talking about things nobody understands." "I'm a CEO, Vanessa. I built a company from nothing. A company nobody's heard of," she snapped. "Look, I'm sorry, okay? But this is my wedding, my day, and I can't have you there making it about you." I stood there, speechless. This wasn't my sister. This was a stranger wearing her face. "You know what?" I said quietly. "You're right. I won't be there." I walked out and I didn't look back. I cried for exactly one night. Then I got to work. See, here's what my family didn't know about my fake company. We just closed a Series B funding round, $8 million. And one of our biggest new clients? The Grand Belmont Hotel and Event Center. Yeah, the same venue Vanessa had picked for her wedding. I pulled up the booking details on my laptop. There it was, Douglas Chen Wedding, November 12th, Grand Ballroom. I made a phone call to James Whitmore, the hotel's general manager. We'd worked together on several authentication events. "James, hey, it's Maya Chen. I need to ask you something about a booking." November 12th arrived cold and gray. I told myself I wouldn't go. I'd stay home, binge watch Netflix, pretend none of it was happening. But around 2 p.m., I found myself getting dressed. Not in a startup t-shirt, in a designer navy dress I'd bought last month. I did my makeup carefully, styled my hair. I looked good. Really good. I drove to the Grand Belmont. The parking lot was packed. Luxury cars everywhere. Mercedes, BMWs, even a Bentley. Marcus's family, probably. All that old money Vanessa was so worried about impressing. I walked through the main entrance. The ceremony had just ended. Guests were filing into the reception hall. I could hear music, laughter, the clink of champagne glasses. For a moment, I hesitated. What was I doing here? Then I heard my mother's voice, loud and unmistakable. "Can you believe Maya? I heard she's barely scraping by with that silly internet thing." Aunt Linda laughed. "Well, at least Vanessa turned out well." Something inside me snapped. I walked into that ballroom with my head held high. The reception was beautiful, I'll give them that. White roses everywhere, chandeliers glittering, a live band playing. Vanessa and Marcus were at the head table, surrounded by their wedding party, none of whom were me. I grabbed a champagne flute from a passing waiter and made my way through the crowd. People I'd known my whole life turned to stare. Whispers followed me like a wake. "Is that Maya? What's she doing here? Someone should call security." I reached the family table. Mom saw me first, and her face went from confusion to anger in about half a second. Maya, what are you doing here? What am I doing here? I took a sip of champagne, nice and slow. I'm attending my sister's wedding. Oh, wait, I wasn't invited to that, was I? Dad stood up. This isn't the time or place. No, you're right. This isn't the place for the family disappointment, the beggar with her fake job and her embarrassing life choices. Vanessa was making her way over, Marcus right behind her. She looked panicked.
Maya, please don't do this. Don't what? Show up where I'm not wanted? Too late for that. Tara appeared at my elbow, all fake concern. Maya, sweetie, you're making a scene. Why don't you just go home? This day isn't about you. I turned to her slowly. You're absolutely right, Tara. This day isn't about me at all. It's about Vanessa and Marcus and their perfect expensive wedding at this gorgeous venue. I gestured around the ballroom. I mean, seriously, this place is incredible. The Grand Belmont, top tier. Must have cost, what, 50 grand just for the venue rental? Mom's face was red. Maya Chen, if you don't leave right now... Did you know, I continued, speaking louder so everyone could hear, that the Grand Belmont almost went bankrupt last year? Cash flow problems, bad management. They were about to close down. James Whitmore had appeared at the edge of the crowd. He gave me a subtle nod. I smiled, but then a private equity firm bought them out, saved the whole operation. They invested $2 million and restructured everything. This place wouldn't even exist right now if it wasn't for that investment. Vanessa was shaking her head. What does this have to do with anything? Everything, V, because that private equity firm, that was my company. The room went dead silent. That's right, I continued, my voice steady. Chen Digital Holdings, that weird internet company nobody's heard of, we own 60% of this hotel. I own 60% of this hotel. Mom's champagne glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. So technically, I said, looking around at all those shocked faces, I didn't crash this wedding. This wedding is happening in my building, on my property, using my staff, my resources, my investment. Marcus spoke up for the first time, his voice tight. That's not possible. I pulled out my phone and held it up, showing the equity documents James had sent over. It's very possible. Want to see the contracts, the deed transfers? Vanessa looked like she might throw up. Maya, the catering you're enjoying, I approved that vendor contract. The band, I signed off on their performance license. Those roses, I negotiated the rate with the florist. I took another sip of champagne, and you want to know the best part? I found out about this wedding the same way I found out I wasn't invited, scrolling through Instagram. I had no idea my own sister had booked her wedding at my venue until 2 weeks ago. The silence was deafening. So when you called me a beggar, Mom, when you said I had a fake job and I'd embarrass you, I felt my voice crack, just slightly. I was signing the checks that made this entire day possible. Vanessa started crying, not pretty photogenic wedding tears, ugly, gasping sobs. I'm sorry, she choked out. Maya, I'm so sorry. Mom said you wouldn't understand, that you'd be fine without my own sister at her wedding. I felt my own eyes filling up. Without even an invitation? Without a single conversation about it? Mom tried to speak. You thought I was nothing, I said flatly. You all did. A joke. An embarrassment. The weird daughter who couldn't get her life together. Marcus flinched at that. For what it's worth, I said, turning to him, this isn't about you. You seem nice, but your parents... I glanced at the older couple standing near the head table, both looking absolutely mortified. They thought I'd embarrass you? I'm worth 3 times what your trust fund is.
Aunt Linda chose that moment to open her stupid mouth. "Well, you're certainly embarrassing everyone now." "Linda, shut up," Dad snapped. "Just everyone shut up." He walked over to me, and for a second, I thought he might hug me. Instead, he just stood there, looking lost. "I'm proud of you," he said quietly. "I should have said that before. I should have... God, Maya, I'm so sorry." And that did it. That broke me. The tears came, hot and fast. You have no idea what the last 6 months have been like. Building something real, working 90-hour weeks, closing deals that could change my entire life. And the whole time, my family thought I was a loser. Vanessa stumbled toward me. "You're not a loser. You've never been a loser. I was jealous, okay?" I blinked at her through my tears. Jealous? Of course I was jealous. She was full on ugly crying now, mascara everywhere. "You're brilliant, Maya. You always have been. You built a company. You're a CEO. And what am I? Marcus's wife? Some guy's +1? That? I don't have anything that's mine. No career, no accomplishments, nothing. I'm just the pretty sister who landed a rich husband. And you're everything I pretended not to want to be." The ballroom was so quiet you could hear the ice melting in people's drinks. "I thought," Vanessa whispered, "I kept you away. Nobody would compare us. Nobody would ask why I wasn't as ambitious or as smart or as anything. I could just be the bride, just for one day." My heart cracked wide open. I was about to respond when James Whitmore appeared beside me, looking apologetic. "Miss Chen, I'm very sorry to interrupt, but we have a situation." Everyone turned to look at him. "What kind of situation?" I asked. "The venue contract. There's been a complication with the payment processing. The deposit was supposed to clear yesterday, but there's been a hold placed on the account." Marcus went pale. "What does that mean?" James looked extremely uncomfortable. "It means that technically, as of this moment, the balance for today's event is, outstanding. Significantly outstanding." "How significantly?" Vanessa's voice was barely a whisper. $48,000. Mom made a choking sound. Several guests gasped. "I thought Marcus's parents were covering the venue," Dad said, looking confused. Everyone turned to look at Marcus's parents. His father, this distinguished-looking man in an expensive suit, cleared his throat. "We had some unexpected liquidity issues this quarter. We assumed you'd handle. We assumed you'd handle it." Mom practically shrieked. "That was the agreement." And suddenly, the perfect wedding was falling apart. Marcus looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him. "We can figure this out. I can make some calls, move some money." "The event ends in 3 hours," James said gently. "Per our contract, payment must be settled before the venue closes tonight." Vanessa turned to me, her eyes desperate. "Maya, please." I held up my hand. My mind was racing. I could do it. I could cover the cost right now, easily. But should I? After everything? The entire ballroom waited. "James," I said slowly, "can you pull up the contract details on your tablet?" He handed it over. I scrolled through, reading carefully. Everyone watched me, barely breathing. Finally, I looked up. "Here's what's going to happen. I'll cover the venue cost." Vanessa gasped. "Maya!" "But," I continued, "there are conditions." Mom stepped forward. "You can't blackmail your own sister." "I'm not blackmailing anyone. I'm offering a business solution." I turned to Vanessa. "First condition, you and I go to therapy. Real therapy. Together. We fix this. All of it." She nodded frantically. "Yes, absolutely." "Second, family dinners. Once a month, minimum. And when I talk about my work, you listen. You actually listen. Dad's voice was thick. Done. Third, I looked at Mom. This was the hard one. You apologize. A real apology. Not just to me, to everyone here. Because you didn't just hurt me, you taught everyone in this family that success only looks one way. That I only mattered if I fit your definition of acceptable. Mom's face crumbled. For the first time in my life, I saw her look truly ashamed. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Maya, I'm so sorry. I was wrong. About everything." "Louder," I said, "so everyone can hear." She straightened up, tears streaming down her face. "I was wrong. I dismissed my daughter's accomplishments because they didn't look like what I expected. I let my own prejudices hurt someone I love. Maya, you're extraordinary, and I'm sorry I couldn't see it." The words hung in the air. I took a deep breath and turned to James. "Process the payment, bill it to my personal account." He nodded and stepped away, already typing on his tablet. Vanessa threw her arms around me, sobbing into my shoulder. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." "Hey," I said softly, hugging her back, "you're still my sister, even when you're being an idiot." She laughed through her tears. "I really was an idiot." "Yeah, you really were."
After that, something shifted in the room. The tension broke like a fever. People started coming up to me. Aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't spoken to in months. Some apologized. Some asked about my company. Some just wanted to hug me. Tara approached, looking sheepish. "I'm sorry for what I said about you not having a real job." "It's fine," I said. And weirdly, it was. Marcus pulled me aside near the bar. "Thank you for what you did. I know you didn't have to." "Take care of her," I interrupted. "Vanessa. She acts tough, but she's not. Not really." He nodded seriously. "I will. I promise. And Marcus, don't let your parents, or my parents, or anyone else make her feel small. She's capable of amazing things if someone actually believes in her. I do believe in her." "Good. Then prove it." The band started playing again. Vanessa and Marcus did their first dance. And this time, I watched from the crowd, with Dad's arm around my shoulders. "I really am proud of you," he said again. "I should have said it 1,000 times before. You're saying it now. That's what counts." Mom appeared on my other side. She didn't say anything, just took my hand and squeezed it. We stood there, the three of us, watching Vanessa spin across the dance floor in her white dress. For the first time in months, something in my chest loosened. Maybe we'd be okay. Maybe. It's February now, and I'm sitting in a therapist's office with Vanessa. We've been doing this every week since the wedding. "So," Dr. Morrison says, "how are things between you two?" Vanessa looks at me and grins. "Better. Actually better. It's true. We've been rebuilding, slowly, carefully, like learning how to be sisters all over again. She's started her own thing too, an event planning business. Turns out she's actually brilliant at it. Last week, she landed her first major client. I may have made an introduction through my network, but she closed the deal herself. I have some news, I say. They both look at me. My company just got acquired by a major tech conglomerate. The deal closes next month. Vanessa's eyes go wide. Maya, that's huge. It's a $40 million exit. Dr. Morrison smiles. How do you feel about that? Honestly, I feel relieved, excited, scared, all of it. I feel like I've finally proved something, not to my family, to myself. Vanessa reaches over and takes my hand. You never had to prove anything, you know? Not to me, not anymore. I know. And I do. We walk out of the session together, and Vanessa links her arm through mine. Family dinner tonight? She asks.
Wouldn't miss it. As we head to the parking lot, my phone buzzes. It's a text from Mom. Bringing your favorite dessert tonight. Can't wait to hear about your week. Love you. I smile and text back, love you too. It's not perfect. We still have bad days. Vanessa and I still argue. Mom still says tone-deaf things sometimes. But we're trying. We're actually genuinely trying. And you know what? That's enough. Oh, and remember those people at the wedding who looked down on me? The ones who thought I was just some broke weirdo with a fake job? Turns out 3 of them have reached out asking for investments in their businesses. I haven't responded yet. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. But isn't it funny how fast things change when people realize you hold the cards? I used to think I needed my family's approval to feel successful. Now, I know better. Success isn't about what other people think of you. It's about what you think of yourself when you look in the mirror. And these days, I like what I see. So, yeah, that's my story. The night I showed up to the wedding I wasn't invited to and ended up owning the whole damn thing. Was it petty? Maybe a little. Was it satisfying? Hell yes. But more than that it was the beginning of getting my family back. The real version, not the fake, perfect one we'd been pretending to be. Sometimes you have to break everything to build it back better. And sometimes the bigger ends up being the one who saves the day. Thanks for listening. And remember, never let anyone make you feel small. You're bigger than they'll ever know.